Uh, Firstly, good morning and welcome everyone to the second annual ACM Symposium. Thank you so much for coming along today. We've got students, staff, externals in with us today, which is a really exciting program today based on the future of the creative industries and the creative industries workforce specifically. We'll also be talking a lot today about the future of the creative industries in Birmingham, particularly in relation to the issues that Birmingham is seeing at the minute. So it's amazing to be here in Birmingham to be talking about these issues. First up today, we have Martin Dowland, who's going to come and talk about creative design for sharing creative space. So do please give a warm welcome to Martin. Just a bit of housekeeping, if anybody doesn't know, the toilets are just outside to the left as you come in by the lift. Dinner will be served between 1 and 2, and there's a couple of comfort breaks in the day as well. If you've got any issues, just come and give me a shout, but otherwise have a brilliant day. Thank you.
There we go. Good morning, everybody. Creative design for sharing creative space. What this is about is, for a long time, I have been in various jobs before ACM and now looking for ways of dealing with the economic restrictions that we face. So I'm looking at where there are cases of resources being shared, essentially, and how we can build on resources we've got already and maximise potential for getting good spaces together where people can not survive, but also thrive because they're sharing spaces. I started off by looking at the Department of Culture, Media and Sport and their documents and what they fund. They cover sport and culture, creative industries. And when you look at the funding sources, they are asking for much the same thing. They're asking for people to do things that enhance their lives, that make life better for everyone. And on that basis, I'm looking at how all the bodies that come under that remit can share space ultimately. So to start off with, I went to Finland to the Stoa Centre in Itäkeskus, which is literally east central Helsinki, where there is a centre that was built on top of a sports centre and near the centre of town where people could go and do creative things. And there was a document that was the founding force behind the Stoa Centre that said that people should share spaces. The idea of sharing spaces and resources, technicians, is that people have the same ideas, the same ideals that they want to achieve, and by being in the same space, you're in a space with friendly people who want to do the same as you want to do yourself. Thus, the Stoa Centre was opened in the early part of this century, and it thrives on the basis of having this philosophy behind its inception. And so it has, in the main building, which we can see here behind us, behind the pillars, and again that's actually a better picture. There's spaces where people can work together, where people can build things. So you can actually bring amps in, you can bring kilns and wheels in to make things, essentially. People can rehearse and practice, and they can also perform. There's a library, there's a church opposite the building. Again, that's not part of the centre, but it was the building was of the Stoa Centre was centred around these other facilities to be convenient, to be near town centre and to be near other resources. It's just into the park as well, so it's a very pleasant space. So the idea is that you're in a happy, friendly environment with people around you who are doing the same thing as you, but also it's a comfortable space that's convenient to get to, but also a very comfortable space to be in as well. This is the Stoa Centre again. There's a nice big courtyard outside it, and there's space inside for performance and practice. There's a library, cafe, very important thing to have a cafe, have a space where you can meet people. And there's also underground, there's this amazing swimming pool, which is literally in a big cave. Now, there's a significance in that if you come back to the Department of Culture, Media and Sport, having culture and sport together is seen as being a good thing because you have these elements that share the same goals together. This is inside the Stoa Centre. You've got a very pleasant atrium with a cafe and an art gallery on the first floor, and then there's doors through to performance spaces. Here you have a performance happening in the Stower Centre, and this is a family activity going on outside. So this is a very conscious attempt to have a shared space for creative industries, but it's also adjacent to a sports centre where people go and relax and do things to improve themselves. Now, to come to Britain, looking for an example of the same here, I found Swiss Cottage, leisure centre and library. If anyone knows that, that's good to know. There's a library that was built in 2003, and the leisure centre was built next to it about 7 years later. And so although they were built as separate entities, they've been pulled together literally under an atrium. So you go through this door here, and you go left to go into the library and right to go into the sports centre. The library has a gallery upstairs, an art gallery, and outside there's a park, and on the other side of the park there's a theatre, the Hampstead Theatre. So you have this cultural hub in Swiss Cottage. Now, this is coincidental. They were put together because Camden Borough Council owned the land, and so it's convenient to put them all together. And there's this very inspired architectural piece of building where these buildings are built together and they share this atrium, and you feel they're in the same space. Potentially, a lot more could be done with it if the departments spoke to each other more and arranged to actually share their spaces. For example, the sports centre, very well appointed, very comfortable place. It's got very good lighting, and it's got nice wooden doors, and it feels like a very comfortable space. It isn't austere at all, and the library is the same as well, so you can feel very comfortable in there. The aim would be to use the leisure centre for more things than it's been used for maybe at the moment, but it's been talked about at council level. I don't know if that's developed any further so far. So here is another view of it from the other entrance. This is from the north side. You've got the library building on the right and the sports centre on the left, and you see they'll join together, and you go in through a common door to get to them. And this is the space again from the outside, looking like it's a very lively place with a cluster of people there, sharing space. What does happen coincidentally is people do go to one or the other, and while they're there, they do think of doing something else that happens to be there at the same time. That's the public. Now, if people were to use the space for more activities, then that would be taking advantage of what you have under your roof, literally under your roof, to benefit everybody, if you like. This is a cafe in the Swiss Cottage Centre, and that's overlooking the pool. Very, very pleasant cafe as well, very comfortable place where, again, people can meet, and it's right in the centre between the library, the theatre, and the sports centre. And this is a changing room. Again, it's a very important place where people can meet and exchange what they're doing and relax. This is the layout of the buildings. It's a very detailed plan there. But on the left, you've got the library, and then there's the atrium leading over to the sports centre. And the swimming pool is the big square rectangle rather to the top. And then outside to the top is the north, and there's a park, and then the theatre's just outside beyond that. So potentially, Swiss Cottage could be a place where a lot more sharing could be done. What's very important about these centres is that they've got very big spaces that aren't too big. They're small enough to be intimate, but big spaces where you can perform, where you can, without damaging the building, move amps around, for example, and other equipment, and you can get easy access to parts of the building you want to get to, and so it can be used by a range of different people who are wanting to do something creative. This is Manchester. We're in Manchester now. I'm looking at a different building here. That's the Victoria Baths in Haversidge in Manchester. That's, again, quite accessible. It's an old building built in about 1912, and it was shut down in the 1990s as a swimming pool because of funding cuts. But it's opened again as an art centre by Jill Wright, who's sadly no longer with us, who was a swim coach, and Jill's aim was to have the Victoria Baths be both a swimming pool and an art centre at the same time. What happened was funding was drawn from the Victoria Baths for it to be run as a swimming pool so that the council could build new swimming pools. But the building was retained because it is quite a beautiful building. It's well appointed. Again, it's got the practical needs of what we're looking at, which is to have easy access, wide corridors, big rooms that you can do a lot in, that you could rehearse in, you could practice in, you could practice your performances in, and then it's got performance spaces as well. There were originally 3 pools there. The pool on the left was the male first class, which is the most ornate pool of all, and that's used now for installations, for art exhibitions. They often fill it with water, and people do swim in it, and you can have sometimes floating exhibitions in the swimming pool. Then the middle pool, the second class, wasn't quite as pretty as the first class pool, so it's been covered over. There's a floor in there now, and so that's a performance space. It's also a place where people have events and conferences. But essentially it's creating this big flat space where you can do things that need a big flat space. And the third pool on the right was the ladies' pool, and so that is being treated as a ladies' centre now. The Victoria Baths is being used for these activities now. It was set up with a lot of publicity in the early part of the century, and it is going on, it is continuing as an art centre with the aim, again, of it becoming a sports centre again. And to some extent, that has been successful. A lot of the reason for the success of the Victoria Baths has been the person who drove it. Okay, fine, thank you. So that's a concert. This is the art installation, literally floating on water in the first class pool. That's another exhibition in the swimming pool. Again, taking advantage of the big space, but also the well-appointed architectural surroundings of the building as well makes it a very comfortable place to be in. That's the layout. So you've got the 3 pools there, and you've got enough rooms around it as well to have activities for people to meet in, people to actually practically do creative things, and they do. There's an art centre that's based in the pool building, and they're still active. This is the thing that inspires us all. Ultimately, the inspiration I have behind the whole idea is the Brazilian beach, because that is a linear space where people go for free to improve themselves, and they take part in a range of activities. This is a sculpture exhibition in Maceió in Alagoas, and there are other things that go on beaches in Brazil. People play football, people play volleyball. They can do it either as a casual, informal thing, or they do it as a formal, organised activity. There's also music. People will come along and play guitars, but people can also go and have a performance there. But essentially, it's a very comfortable space where people can go and feel free to do their own thing. And if you're not comfortable in one space, you move along to another space. Now, we don't have this climate or these beaches here, but that's the ultimate thing that we can think about when we're looking about how we can reinvent our spaces and take them further and share them with other people to do more things in. To move on, that's a party on a beach in Brazil, and it's not unlike the party in the Victoria Baths that I showed in an earlier slide. And so that is ultimately the space that we are looking at. Okay, that's my presentation.
Thank you very much, Martin. Pleasure. Does anybody have any questions for Martin?
Hello.
Hi, I'm Denise Stanley. Thanks, Martin. I really enjoyed that conversation. I've been looking back at this area really since the 80s. And one of the things I think is of interest is, because you're talking about arts and sports and spaces, the Albany Empire was set up in the 70s in Deptford. It was burnt down because it was a multicultural place before the society were ready for that. It then was rebuilt in the 80s, and that mixed arts with health. And it had the same spaces that you could book. It had a nursery, and again, it had a cafe. It had a whole social area. But rather than focusing on sports, they were focusing on well-being and health. They had a radical midwives group. So I think, it's time for these sort of spaces to come back. I work a lot in Europe, and the Netherlands also has libraries like Rosette, which have 3D printers for the public, have music lessons, art spaces, performance spaces, and particularly focus on children and migrant workers coming in to learn language. So I think it's really important, the presentation. Have you, in Helsinki, have you looked at the library that's in Helsinki itself, which is just behind the Contemporary Arts Museum?
Yes, I have, yes.
Yeah, so that's another phenomenal library space. And I think, you know, the library here in Birmingham is fantastic. I'm a great fan of the library here. And I think there's so much more that we can do with libraries. And part of what you're saying, I really, really applaud.
Thank you, Denise.
Thank you. Any other questions for Martin? Martin, I have one. How, based on your research here and thinking about the institution that we work in, how would you suggest, what would be our first steps to making a better use of space and inclusivity for things that you're talking about here in ACM?
How would you make spaces better?
Yeah, particularly in relation to what we do, creative industries, education, the sites that we have, any examples you have?
I think a lot depends on the space you've got and the individuals you've got as well. A lot of these projects were driven by an individual started Stoa and the Victoria Wilds as well. And if there was someone who could have joined up thinking and bring Camden together, then that would work as well. Certainly there was an idea once, but it is very reliant on individuals having the vision to bring things together. I think there's a lot of funding sources, a lot of funding streams that can be applied. It can be done in small measures because we're not building one big building in one go. We're adding buildings to buildings, and we're taking buildings that are already there and we're applying what's there, but we're looking at what's available and what's suitable, what isn't suitable. There are some cases that haven't been successful. There was one big hospital in Manchester, North Manchester, that wasn't convenient and it didn't have a dynamic there already to build on. And so it did disappear, but everywhere I mentioned so far has already started itself off, and they can develop, but building on what's available at the time, building on the people around and the funding streams that are around, opportunities that come up where there's funding available to expand and develop, that's probably the way forward. Does that answer the question, Tom?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you, Martin. That's wonderful. Any other final points for Martin? Just a round of applause then for Martin. Thank you so much. Thank you. Next in the programme, we've got Will Kenworthy, one of our students, talking about analysing the influence of higher education music programmes on alumni success in the music industry. Will, let's get your presentation up.
Is this the clicker? Can we use this?
We can't, unfortunately. No, because I need a thing.
No.
But you can hang out to the
I like
side
moving.
a little bit.
Can you use a microphone? Or do you have
Yes,
to use this?
yeah, use your mic. Use your mic. It's absolutely fine. Now,
So
yours.
I just get...
No, go for it. Do whatever you need to. Okay.
There's a little video to start. Wait. Hello? Oh.
And there we go. You're on.
Okay.
And
That was meant to play on the screen, but... Oh, there you go. Bear with, sorry. This needs... how do you get back on the thing? It should just have a play button there.
let's grab that.
Should just have a play button. Maybe it's because... Oh, there's a play button in the middle.
There you go.
Come on. Always goes wrong with the day,
because I
doesn't it?
need to request access.
Damn it.
Unfortunately, Will. 2 seconds. This is your video, yeah?
Yeah.
So I think.
Sorry.
Have you got your phone with you? And then if you just. Perfect.
Share.
Now, what have we done here?
There we go. Yay.
So I'm just going to come out of this. You'll need to come back. Into
Yeah,
the
that's
presentation.
fine. Yeah.
There you go.
Thanks. Wi-Fi. This isn't the video, by the way.
I might suggest that let's perhaps start with the presentation and come back to
It's part. Damn it! That's the whole point. It's
the opening.
you could hotspot to my phone if you want.
I think if we try it might be because it's quite a big video. Let's try this.
Should be 45 seconds. It's not too big.
Here we go. So if we do that.
There we go.
Okay.
Full screen. There we go. Is that it? Oh, look. Perfect. Hello? Is that on? Hello? Hello? Hello. Hi guys, I'm Will Kenworthy. I am a second year student at ACM. I'm studying drums on the drum pathway. And essentially, for my dissertation, that was my question. And in the program, it's that I did a broad scale. So I did it for my lit review. I had to look at loads of different literature to help build together aspects that are valued in the industry for education to have. And then I wanted to do it on ACM because I'm there and it helped. But first, I'd love to speak about myself so you can get a bit about me. So my passion for drums started about 10 years ago when I watched a video by a drummer called Cooper Drummer, and it just made me think, wow, I want to do that. And that is essentially why I'm at ACM, really, because it is just for drumming. And when I was at school, I was always sporty. I never really had an academic thing, and I just wasn't very passionate with my academics. And I actually got caught in my A-levels cheating. I got caught cheating in my A-levels. And that just told me to switch on. Like, a lot of people would think that's the end, but not the end, but that's like, you need to switch on, and I did. And then I came to ACM, and it was probably the best decision of my life. And for me, it's been amazing. I've learned the value of hard work and being passionate about something you do. It helps. And at school, I wasn't. And yeah, I believe that anyone at ACM has the chance to become, like, if they put the hard work in, you've got the lectures, you've got everything, to become that way. So now we're going to move on to the essential presentation. So again, it's on ACM, and we all know ACM. We all are familiar with ACM. It's got 3 campuses, and it's got a new exciting one in Brixton coming, which I went to look in. It is just a site at the moment, but it looks very exciting. And there's loads of offers you can get with like careers through production, business, music, like performance and all that. And through that, I was like, this is going to be a perfect dissertation to do, because it's such a small like group of uni. It's not like doing a presentation on Leeds. Like, if I went to Leeds and said I'm going to do a presentation on that, it would take years. So that was that. So then I was like, where's this literature gap? And the literature gap is that I think there was literally zero research from a student's perspective, or at least an alumni perspective, on higher education music institutions in the UK. There was some in America, like Berkeley had some, but in UK there was nothing. So I was just like, that's perfect. What a great gap to fill. So what I did is I got 80 alumni from ACM. I found them, Facebook, all of that. It was amazing, and they did a survey for me, and the results were very interesting, and we'll go through them now when I show you. And I did 12 interviews with graduates to make it, with the alumni, to make it more of a broad scale. And there was 5 themes that came from. I'll go through the 5 themes on here, and there's obviously some positives, there's some challenges that ACM could work on, and we will go through them just so you guys can get an idea. And the first one is facilities and technology. So in the survey, 59% of the alumni praised the facilities at ACM. They said that it was very, very helpful for their careers that they're in now. And in addition, 78% said that they were provided with high quality technology and standard tools, so like Logic, you get it for free. Ableton, you get it for free when you're there on the laptops. So that was very much praised with the help from ACM. And this one specific ACM alumni said this around how it made their transition seamless, which is what we want. As a student, I don't want to be going into the industry not knowing how to use Logic. When I've come to ACM, now I know how to use Logic, and yeah, it's very helpful from my perspective, and therefore from all the students. Then moving on to collaboration and curriculum. So this is a very interesting one because the curriculum at ACM's changed from my year. So I'm CIF, all the alumni interviewed were MIP, but that doesn't neglect what they said. So 64% said that the quality of the curriculum wasn't beneficial in their career. So that's not saying that all of the curriculum's not beneficial. It's just that in their specific area, they felt that the quality of curriculum wasn't to the standard they believed they went to uni for. And it's the same with the module content and format. So that's saying like the schedule of they might only be in 8 hours a week, which they feel that's not what they're getting the money's worth. And it's the same with the collaborative projects. And again, CIF, what I'm in, every term there's been a collaborative project, which has been, for me, the best project, and they didn't have that. So ACM are definitely understanding the importance of collaboration and are doing it. It's just with these alumni, well, it actually shows that it is better to do it because they're saying it's beneficial, but they didn't get it. However, and there's always a however when you do a dissertation, there was one alumni and there was other alumni that said that they did get it. So this is always a common thing that I couldn't put in my dissertation because I couldn't be personal. But you can kind of put a comparison. But there's such an aspect of students probably not working to the hardest they can at ACM. And it kind of says itself. So you get this alumni. The collaboration skills I developed have been incredibly beneficial in my career. So what does that tell you? Clearly there is collaboration at ACM if they are doing it. It's just the percentage does explain itself. If it's more than 50, it is on the other side. But it just shows that there is a start, and that's all they need. They just need to build on it. And then the next one, which I'm most passionate about, is the tutoring and skill development. I think this is the most important part of a university that's practical. If the tutors aren't good, which at school they weren't good for me, the tutors here, top notch. Toby Drummond, my drum teacher, insane. I couldn't mention his name in my dissertation, but this is a bit different. And you can see that the students thought exactly the same about their lecturers. 73% said that the lecturers and mentors had a positive impact. And I think this is the best thing around it. 64% believe the skills were developed. Like, that's just perfect when you go to uni. If you leave and your skills have been developed, that's best. However, 86% said that ACM provided no support after their graduation. And a lot of lecturers, which in my further research I would have spoken to lecturers, because when speaking to lecturers now, they say that they want to concentrate on the students rather than the alumni. So if an alumni comes to them and asks for help, they would concentrate on the students. However, I think if an alumni is being on it with the lecturer, they should provide some support, like a job, like some experience, like work experience, which some lecturers do. It's just that number doesn't lie, and I think it is definitely an aspect of ACM that they could push on. Like they could do a constant thing every 3 months or something, have a post-graduation, and if no one rocks up, that's their fault. But if it's there in our face, then I know I would love that. Meeting all your mates that you've not seen for ages. Yeah. Oh yeah, why? I've already spoke about that. Sorry, I forgot that was there. Okay, business skills and entrepreneurship. Amy's in the room, business lecturer. Business is massive, and personally I feel that as a drummer, there could have been more emphasis for a drummer on business. There is emphasis, and working with James Starkey, who I've been collaborative with the whole time, he's always kept me on his wing going, this is how you make a business document, this is how you make marketing plan, this is how you do that. But again, numbers don't lie. 61% felt that that business elements weren't applied when they were at ACM. So that could mean that the other 40% are all business students, but the 60% are all doing different pathways. However, 40% believe that ACM were trying. So it is above, because 37 were neutral, because people just wanted to press neutral because probably got survey fatigue. But 40% said that that ACM were trying. And I can see that. ACM do try to emphasize business, because all the collaborative projects, not one person can do everything. Everyone has to join in to get a good mark anyway. And that's just what I was talking about. The branding and marketing module was super helpful, but it wasn't available to everyone. So it's there, it's good, but is it clashing with other people's timetables? Because when I speak to Rachel, who's doing a business and marketing module, it's in the same time as my technical development drumming. So it's like, which one do I go to? Which one am I? Is it once every week? Is it? Yeah. So I think it's just, if ACM can just try and, I don't know, it's more to look at in terms of how many hours a week you can be at uni, and could you do extra, lecturers have other jobs and stuff. So yeah. And then finally, the last theme that I found was internships and real world experiences. This is the one where it's very aspect of how much work you put in, you get out. But 85% said there were no internship opportunities, which is a big number. And I think, again, like I said all the time, numbers do not lie. And I think I think internship opportunities are massive if you want to be prepared to go into the industry, because, like, so for example, I did toe drum and gave me a job to do Chitty Bang Bang at school. That's an internship, that's a real world experience that I had, and they sent an email out and I jumped on it. So there is it there, and that's why I'm saying it is down to the uni students. But I think if ACM could cooperate with businesses that aren't just Metropolis, and just get out there and just go, there's this opportunity. If ACM hand it out and people don't take it, that's fine. But I can assure you, as students talking around in our groups, we do talk about, I wish there was this experience, like, these singers are going to Metropolis where producers would shine, but the producers at Metropolis are doing the production job, and not the producers who are students are getting the experience, because there's already people there. And yeah. So this is what I couldn't do in my dissertation, but I thought it would be it's constructive, turning the challenges that I found and how I believe it would turn into an opportunity for ACM, because I think ACM has so much potential. I think it's an unbelievable constitution, and it is very much what you put in, you get out. So this is what I thought could happen, and I've already spoke about it. So integrate business skills into every core curriculum. So it's not a little module you can do for a skill. It's a core curriculum where you have to, no matter what pathway you're on, you have to do a project document and, a market plan or whatever. And then this, enhance interdisciplinary collaboration. It is there, it is perfect. Matt Russell, boss of interdisciplinary collaboration. It's there, and I love it. It just could be maybe a bit more. Maybe you have to be external. You have to go out. You can't just stay in your core friendship. And maybe that would help push people outside the comfort zone. And then, again, we spoke, get businesses. Go to, get these networking where you get all these businesses that come, like a careers day, a uni fair at college, but for businesses. So you go around, you speak to businesses that are relevant to your thing. And, I just think that would... Yeah, I think that's probably, they're the 3 points that I think could make ACM higher, much higher than all the, we shouldn't compare. And then conclusion, so yeah, it explains itself. I think facilities, lectures are two of the most important things, and ACM are smashing those, and it showed that in the interviews and the surveys. Business skills could be more included. Internships could be more included, and they link together because you can get business skills from doing internships, obviously. And for future direction, just got to address these gaps that I found. And I don't know if I'll ever do further research on it, but I do think if I spoke to lecturers, did the same concept of to lecturers and I did to the student, I think it would bring a different perspective, and lecturers would go, well, I had a class of 30 and 2 people showed up. So that probably would bring a different percentage to different things. But yeah, that's my thing. And thank you very much for listening. And yeah, I accept any questions.
Thank you, Will. That's okay. This one's not working. There we go. Any questions for Will? I'm sure there'll be quite a few. Okay.
Oh no, I'm going to hide.
All right, well, first of all, just well done for getting involved while an undergraduate. I think that's fantastic. And so, I think taking it upon yourself to take on this level of research is not only beneficial to you, but as an institution is beneficial to us. So first of all, thank you for that. It's kind of a two-part question, is just to maybe get some further insights to some of the things you raised. So for instance, when you talked about the 86% who felt that there wasn't enough alumni support.
Yes.
Yeah. Because I don't know how the question was phrased in the survey, was the consensus that people were asking for and they were turned down, or were they complaining that there's a lack of outward-facing alumni programs? Because for instance, I know some institutions do have entire alumni departments. Yeah. And their sole purpose is to create a network, a community, and provide opportunities, which at this point ACM is probably still in its infancy with those types of programs. So because I'm unaware of the question, do you have any insight as to whether students were seeking them out and they were turned down, or is it that they just were commenting on the lack of outward-facing programs?
I think it's definitely both. I think the survey question is the second point, so it's just not there. And then a few of the interviews where it's more insightful just said that they would message lecturers and they might not get back, or they get back and nothing happens, and they keep pushing for this experience, or literally just sitting in like a little substitute teacher or something, and they just don't get it.
Okay, and then there's just a second part to that, and that was in connection with the internships, just because even though that's not necessarily alum, it's still kind of along the same lines.
Yeah.
And you did touch upon this at the end of your presentation. I know that for myself, when trying to provide opportunities to both current and former students, if I'm leaning into my own industry contacts and vouching for students, I need to be assured that they're going to represent myself and or the institution at the highest level. And so I'm wondering, and again, not to be antagonistic, just as a part of a discussion, do you feel that perhaps the lack of attendance within classes might also hinder some of those possibilities?
Yeah, I think what you need to think when you think of ACM is it's a contemporary. So it's not like LIPA, and it's not like the ones where ACM, it's a money turnover. It turns over money, and it lets people, like when I came, I wasn't good at drums, like genuinely wasn't good at drums, but I still got in played Fluorescent Adolescent at my audition, the only song I knew, and then I just didn't, my technique was awful. And then there's probably like 3 of us in the drummer class, which we genuinely have gone to every lecture and stuff. So Toby goes to us and says, "Hi, we got this musical theatre job." So that's what I'm saying in terms of I'd speak to lecturers for my interviews and survey, because it would bring a different perspective of the biasy that's happened with just doing it on alumni.
So how do you think we bridge that gap then? If tutors might be holding back because they're concerned about the representation, you know, if we're nominating people for opportunities that may or may not show up or may not engage. But on the flip side, you know, from the student's perspective, you're trying to do what you need to do to prepare yourself for the industry. How do you feel that we need to bridge that gap then? What not to put you on the spot to solve everything in 1 second, but
no,
go ahead.
I think it's got to be something about the attendance being really tight on it. You've not turned up once this term, you're out. That I genuinely think that's it, because well, or it's just we don't do it on alumni and the stats aren't valid, because I reckon 70%, 70 out of the 80 were probably people who didn't turn up. Because my experience of ACM, it genuinely is like that. People just don't turn up, and I think that just affects the lecturer's ability on teaching, because there's only 2 people. But yeah, I genuinely think it's just a long process to get. I think first lecturers just really know, if they knew the people who are doing well, if they can really try hard to get them internships, then maybe the other students might see that those students are getting internships, and then they might be like, "Oh, I need to switch on here," and then they get it. I think that might be the first step. So I think just really try hard to, because you all the lecturers have so much knowledge in the industry, and we're just these little people at uni that want to get out there. And literally just doing a little thing at Chitty Bang Bang has got me another job that I never thought I would get. And that was just still a little thing though, but yeah, I think that's probably the first step, yeah.
Excellent. Thank you for your insights.
Thank you for listening. Thank you. One more. Sorry, I do talk a lot.
Just quickly, to jump on the back of what you were saying, how do you think we could help with attendance, improving that? Because I think everyone would agree that's a big area that could give massive benefits across a lot of areas.
How could you improve attendance?
As a student, you know?
Yeah. The reason why I go is because I just know that there might be 10 seconds of gold. So I go to everything because I know that there's going to be just that 10 seconds. The other hour could be awful. So maybe, but no, that's not happened, but that could be the case. But 10 seconds could be just amazing, and then you're like, that's worth it. You walk out worth it. I think what happens is students have one bad lesson. That might be the first 3 online lesson, first 3 in-person lesson, and then they go, nah, why would I go to that? I can just be playing FIFA or something. So it's a case of, it's hard to say to then do, because everyone has their different preferences. So like when we have Amy's online lessons, each week's different. So someone might have a different preference in week 4 and 5, but they might hate 3 and 2. So they won't go to any of 4 and 5 because 3 and 2 they didn't like. So I think it's just make every module just, I don't know. It's
a hard question.
It's hard. Yeah, you've got, it's a tough job. Like people think it's easy, but it's not. No. Well, I can't put myself in there. Yeah. Is that it? Okay. Yeah, that's okay. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Next, we've got Tobias Briggs, who's going to be talking about enhancing the sustainability and career progression for young musicians in the UK and the strategies for the future. 2 seconds. I'm just going to... Oh, do you want to use your laptop?
I was going to use it for the script.
That's absolutely fine. you've sent me yours. There it is. Let me just download that. And there you are, my friend.
Can I use this mic?
Absolutely, yeah.
One, two. Apologies in advance if I fumble my words, not very good at presenting. But yes, morning everyone. My name is Tobias, and I'll be presenting the work I'm currently doing on enhancing sustainability and career progression for young musicians in the UK. So just to give a bit of context and background why I've chosen to research this area, I joined ACM in 2020 and spent the next few years developing my skills as a music producer, collaborating with students, releasing projects, etc. And as I spent my time in these activities, I found myself learning skills that I thought I'd never need to learn. I needed to learn social media management, graphic design, legal management, business, marketing, etc. And I came to the conclusion that if you just want to survive in the industry, you need to be very multi-skilled just to stand a chance. And the main problem that I've noticed is since being involved in the industry is so many talented people giving up on their crafts. The main reasons that I know from speaking to people is lack of motivation, lack of income, and overload of skills that you need to learn to just progress. And I've just seen a pattern where producers, singers, songwriters, or whoever just find themselves in a position to just give up. Either after university or a certain number of years in, just lost with no direction to go. So halfway into the master's course, I finally realised what it is I want to dedicate my studies to, and I found that career sustainability has been an important topic for me. So this is some existing data that I've researched. There's been a common trend of musicians either dropping out or struggling to land a placement in the creative industries, resulting in them working in another sector. In a recent insight report by Musicians Census, some of the factors on why musicians choose to work in another industry include no clear route for career progression, not knowing in the industry, and difficulty accessing professional support and advice. I know it's been a few years since COVID, but as part of research to measure the impacts of COVID-19 on musicians, 569 musicians took part, and the findings showed that 64% considered leaving the profession who were between the ages of 18 and 34. In another survey, 88% believe that difficulties with their mental health are currently affecting their work as a result of unstable careers and financial stress. From this data, we can begin to see the main factors that are affecting career progression and sustainability. The Creative and Cultural Skills, CCS, was a licensed council in the creative industries in the UK. They regularly hosted various programs and events around cultural heritage, design, and music, also researching topics related to the creative industries, and even developing apprenticeship schemes to address the skill gap issue in the industry. The CCS had to close recently due to being unable to secure funding, and as a result of this closure, there's a lack of support to address the skill gap in the industry. 42% of employees in the industry are reporting a skill gap problem, and the top 3 skills that were mentioned were management, leadership, and project management skills. So for one of my modules that I've been working on since last term is 702, and the module focuses on conducting an applied research project and delivering a project outcome. The research I'm currently doing is conducting is based on the following question: what strategy can be developed to enhance musicians' sustainability and career progression within the UK between the ages of 18 and 34? As part of my methodology, I've been collecting data both from a survey designed for musicians within the age range, and also doing interviews with industry professionals who've had at least 5 years of consistent work in their industry. For the project outcome of this module, I'm planning to develop, my ideas change slightly on this, I'm going to develop a national curriculum that can be used by academic institutions and apprenticeships, and film or demo lesson with a student based on the curriculum to collect feedback. As part of my literature review, I found that financial income of musicians in the UK is well below the annual average, with the UK average being around 34,900. In a financial report by Musician Census, the average annual income is £20,700, and 23% of musicians cannot support themselves or their families by just being a musician. In another report by the Musicians Union, the economic state for musicians has been an issue for over a decade, with the income levels of musicians comparing unfavorably to other professions who've invested similar amounts of time and money into education and training. This highlights the longevity of inequality musicians face, financial issues, and the lack of development in the industry. I found that the educational background of musicians can affect their success. In a master's thesis by Monica Rubio found a correlation between the skills learned in music and school and the skills that made them successful in the workforce. The participants involved in the study had also been involved in music education during their school years, but it should be considered that the participants worked in various jobs such as school principal, music educator, maintenance technician, carpenter, and office manager, and not solely music-related jobs. So this makes it difficult to justify whether having a background in music education improves the chance of success for musicians in the industry. Additionally, in another report by the Musician Census, the majority reported that the highest education level was a degree or higher, but it did not specify whether their qualification was in a music-related course. So this opens the question of whether there's a difference between having a music-related educational background or just a generic high-level education background. The gaps that were in the literature review were lack of information on musicians in other regions of the UK, aside from Greater London, qualitative data providing deeper insights into musicians' specific challenges and needs regarding sustainability, lack of clarity on what type of support positively impacts a musician's success, and insights from the industry professionals and academic institutions on the barriers to career sustainability. From the findings of my primary research, most of the survey participants engaged in music-related studies and believed it had positively contributed to their career progression. This suggests that it's a foundational element in their careers, and this also supports the findings from Rubio's thesis, which identified a correlation between music skills and career success. Out of all the survey participants, just over half earned less than £5,000 annually, and most don't feel financially stable, with only 13% feeling that they are. More than half don't consider leaving the industry, with the common reasons being that they love their careers and it's their passion. Those considering to leave would do so because of lack of funding opportunities, inconsistent gigs with low pay, and limited access to high-quality education. Less than half of participants have used resources or support from music unions, but most definitely found the support beneficial for their careers, proving that external support from the Musicians Union and ISM is crucial for their career progression. From the interviews, participants highlighted the ongoing challenges that young musicians face, including navigating gatekeepers and adapting to changing revenue models. One interviewee said that, "I think there have always been challenges, gatekeepers. Younger artists are having to discover new methods for standing out. This emphasises the necessity for innovative strategies to achieve recognition and success in the industry. Financial and career sustainability remains a concern for young musicians, who more commonly balance multiple jobs and income streams. One interviewee stated that artists need to be multi-talented, have multiple income streams, and manage a social media presence. This highlights the state of the modern industry, where financial gain is linked to a diverse skill set and self-management. Having accessible support systems for young musicians is also essential, especially in areas regarding mental health and financial assistance. An interviewee said that mental health counselling should be accessible, financial support, and career guidance. This emphasised the need for support structures to help young musicians progress through the complexities and downsides of their careers. Overall, the data collected from survey participants helped identify themes and correlations within socio-economic factors, challenges UK musicians are currently facing, the importance of union support, and what changes they would like to implement in the music industry. An interesting point from the survey data as why musicians didn't want to leave their careers despite not engaging in music-related studies or feeling financially stable. So additional participants who fit that criteria would be beneficial in identifying the possible reasons why financial stability and music-related studies may not be relevant for UK musicians. It should also be noted that the majority of the data represents, most of the participants were males based in the southeast of England, and there's a lack of data representing other UK musicians. The data collected from the interviewees provided valuable insights into what challenges UK musicians currently face, what opportunities are available, and what strategies could be implemented to improve career progression. It should also be considered that all interviewees were also working on an academic institution, which may be a limiting factor in their suggestions. For my 704 project, we're required to build and develop a community-based project of our choice and engage with 3 to 7 stakeholders. And my project focus is similar to 702, but for my 704, I'm planning to design a set of apprenticeship schemes, but initially aimed at recording, mixing, and mastering engineers. I've chosen these 3 disciplines because there's a severe lack of apprenticeships existing for these roles. Hopefully, the schemes will be in collaboration with Metropolis Studios and Industry Link. The current stage that I'm at, I've nearly completed all the relevant planning documentation for 704. I've reached out and began discussions with industry experts and stakeholders. I'm looking to engage in a roundtable discussion with all stakeholders to help develop the curriculum, as well as secure the deals and partnerships with the desired organisations. Just to justify why I'm designing to do apprenticeships for my projects, the Department for Education reported that studies demonstrate that due to apprenticeships, 92% of employees see a boost in the workforce, motivation, and satisfaction. Furthermore, in a research published by the House of Commons Library, it showed that 90% of employees stated that their apprenticeship had contributed to their career success. These statistics provide compelling evidence for the value of apprenticeships in the creative industries. Thank you, and we might have time for Q&A. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Tobias. Does anyone have any questions for Tobias?
I don't know if you'll be able to answer this, but yeah, one of the biggest issues with the creative industries and specifically music is the fact that it is completely unregulated. I mean, what other job can you go to where it is perfectly acceptable to drink yourself every night on stage when you're at work into a coma, right? You know? So one of the big things that came out of one of the Managing Expectations report for the Music Managers Forum was about supporting mental health for musicians and artists. And there was a big shift with music managers where their job role was to support mental health for people that they were managing. So what do you think we can do as an industry to start regulating things more for everyone? Because there's no set pay, we don't regulate mental health, we don't regulate conditions. There are so many factors. Literally anyone can be a promoter now. So that means that, you know, John books a charity gig on Tuesday at the Dog and Bone in Smethwick.
Yeah.
And puts on a charity gig where the artists don't get paid because it's for charity. And it's not regulated. Anyone can do that, and then it devalues the whole system. So what do you think we can do to regulate that better?
Thinking on the spot, an independent regulator, there needs to be a system where you have to go and meet certain criteria to do what you want to do in the creative industry, I think. I'm trying to compare it to, with also mental health, I don't know if the regulator would be involved in that as well, but there needs to be, with the healthcare industry, you can't just go and be a doctor. You have to do certain criteria to meet that. So I think there needs to be something similar in that sense in the creative industries. Yeah, I think independent regulator.
Do you think we should also introduce safe working hours? Because the doctor is quite a good example there. I come from healthcare as a background. My background was mental health nursing before I jumped ship. Why? And, you know, you couldn't work over a certain amount of hours a week. You had to sign a working time directive if you wanted to do overtime. And now I would say that I can't remember the last time that I didn't work 70, 80 plus hours a week, apart from Christmas, where I give myself 1 week off. So I don't know if that is the same in the room of everyone else that is a creative here. You know, give or take. You know.
Is that 70 to 80 from including personal creative work or hired work?
Everything.
Everything, okay.
Yeah.
What would you say the balance, the split is? Because is it more... I feel like people that are just doing it, not for the fun, but on their own freelance basis, they're going to spend as many hours that they want to do it. Yeah, do you think there's a balance between your personal creative work and your employed creative work?
All of my work is employed creative work, I would say.
Okay.
So, you know, I run a recording studio and we're open 24 hours a day, and that is managed by 2 of us. So, you know, it's all employed work. There's not a single part of that doesn't come back to me in some form of value or income. So how do you even split that between, you know, oh, today I'm going to play bass for fun, you know, or I'm going to write music for fun, with, oh, I need to work on this whole business and marketing strategy and do all of this research to work out what's changing in industry this week, because, you know, we've moved to a new format. How do you split that up between, you know, personal and paid work?
Yeah.
Because it all feeds into the same pot, right?
Yeah. It's a tough one. Because your clients for the studio, they won't care what hour it is, I'm assuming that they know. Yeah, it's a tricky one.
You got to be open to make money, right? To pay the rent. So.
Yeah.
Sorry. But yeah, more regulation, right?
Yeah.
Hello, Tobias. Excellent presentation and
Thank you.
very, very detailed. I just wanted to focus in on your apprenticeship idea that you're currently working on for 704. I've had personal experience with students coming to, you know, either work shadow or apprentice with me on industry projects that I'm working on, which has always worked out really well. What I've found is that the students' expectation of what they think a professional situation is, or how they're meant to conduct themselves, or what is expected of them, I always find is quite a grey area.
Right.
So I was wondering, just from your preparation for your apprenticeship, what are you hoping some of the outcomes would be for students who are involved in that apprenticeship?
The main goal is, first of all, they have to be willing and dedicated, that they know that's what they want to do. You can't just turn up and do it for the fun of it. But the main goal is for them to have a job placement out from the end of it. Because from all the people that I know and speaking to, it's the job post-uni or just getting that security. That would be the main goal for me, for them to have security and know that once I've done this, I've got a place to go. Yeah.
Just realistically, it'd be quite a small number of participants that would be an outcome for them. And I think that's just the reality of how the industry works. Where in situations where I've had students who've apprenticed me and then they've gone on to go and work at the studio that we're recording at or whatever it might be, it's because they really made a massive impression. But the reality is that what they're really going to get out of that is primarily a networking opportunity and just an opportunity to have that experience that they can then apply to other work. but just because of the freelance nature of the industry, the permanent employment side of things is, as I'm sure you found in your research, is quite a small percentage.
Yeah. Definitely networking I want to, in the curriculum, emphasize as well. Because my experience, everything I've got is from networking. So yeah, that's a good point.
Any more final questions for Tobias?
Hi there, Tobias. Really enjoyed your talk today. I just had two questions, really. They're kind of very much related. So how is it that you plan, well, no, first, do you plan on continuing this research?
Yes, for both of them. For my 702, the national curriculum, I thought of just leaving it at the masters, but I think now, considering I definitely want to continue that, so yeah, I do want to continue the research.
Brilliant. And the second part to that question is like, how do you plan for your research to have like some type of impact?
For my 702, which is the national curriculum, the dream would be for that to be published and recognised in the UK by academic places and existing apprenticeships. And for my 704, the apprenticeship scheme is heavily reliant on the deals and partnerships that I secure. So if I can get that industry link and Metropolis Studios partnership, then I'm hoping that I bring a new avenue for upcoming creatives in the industry. If that answers your question.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Thank you.
All right. No worries.
A round of applause for Tobias, please,
Thank you.
everyone. Thank you so much. So that's the end of the first session. We'll take about a 10-15 minute break now, and we're back for 11:20. Do grab yourself coffee, food, etc. outside. The next session is quite a lengthy one, so do get ready to just sit into it a little bit. We have 4 presentations, and then we also have an update from Denise Stanley at the end of that one as well.